What's up, guys? Had a nice 3-0 NFL weekend and a 3-0 day yesterday, so hopefully you got in on those. You're following me on those. Chicago Bears, Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Atlanta Falcons. That game shows you kind of the importance of getting the best number, even though I think the Falcons should have won by more than they did. They were leading most of that game, just couldn't quite score enough to really push or extend that lead. And it came down to, of course, Houston taking a 1 point lead really late and then Atlanta winning on a field goal. And I was in on the -1.5 because I got it a few days beforehand. So hopefully you were not on like the 2 or the 2.5. The 2.5 would have been really devastating. I would not be happy if that was the case. I thought anything below 3 would probably be pretty good there because 3 is the key number. Don't exactly expect it to land on 2, but sometimes it just falls that way. And getting the best number is important over the long term. These things can really like screw you if you get too many of these numbers not on the right side, that don't fall quite on the right side. So if you don't get enough of the best numbers that you can, basically, it can definitely matter in the long term. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about more Major League Baseball. I'll first mention the NFL game again. I mentioned it in my NFL video. I don't have a play on this, but I just kind of talked about it. Green Bay at Las Vegas. And I said that there were a lot of professionals who seemed to like Las Vegas in that game. But what I did say is that the number when Green Bay was like a favorite by 1.5 or so, that was indicating that Jimmy G was not going to be playing for the Raiders. But I was saying I think that he might come back and you would see the line move to like a 2-point Raider favorite instead. And that's exactly what's happened. Garoppolo practiced on Friday. He's going to play. And the number has indeed shifted to the Raiders being a 2-point favorite. I don't see any reason to like the Raiders here, regardless of who they're putting out there, quarterback, really. I don't think Jimmy G is any good either. And I think the spot, I would only lean to Green Bay there. I don't understand, like, situationally, I don't get why there would be any reason to take the Raiders there. They're coming off a close game where they came back against their division rival, Chargers, and they had chances to tie that game near the end and just kind of blew it. And they had Aiden O'Connell in there in his first snaps, I believe, in an NFL game as a rookie, and he kind of shit the bed at the end there. Tough way to lose. They came close to beating their rival there, and I think that's going to put them in a hangover spot, whereas Green Bay has had extra time off because they haven't played since the Thursday game, I believe, and when they got crushed by the Lions, and everybody saw that. So Green Bay has had extra time off. I would only lean to Green Bay in that one. You might see the market shifting a little bit towards more money being on the Green Bay side, especially now that the number has moved to Vegas being the favorite. But even so, the books are still telling you Green Bay is actually still the slightly better team there, with the line being at like 2 or whatever it is. Raiders not quite getting the full home field, I don't think. Maybe 2.5 is what I would give them there. I don't know. Those are my opinions on the NFL Monday Night Football game. Major League Baseball, the NL Divisional Series continues tonight. We got the 2 NL games in the evening and in the night tonight. The late night game I'll just mention first because I'm not going to have a play on that one, the Diamondbacks-Dodgers game. And in both of these series, we had the underdog win the first game. Diamondbacks-Dodgers, you got Zach Gallen against Bobby Miller. And I think there are some reasons to think that there's a slight edge to be had with Arizona with that matchup specifically because Gallen, like I was talking about yesterday, he already has a start under his belt in the playoffs this year. He pitched in the wild card series. So that, I think, gives him a little bit of an edge because he gets those nerves out of the way in that first game. Whereas Bobby Miller, he doesn't have any playoff experience yet. He's a rookie, so this is going to be his first playoff game. So I think he might have some of those playoff jitters possibly early on. So I think the slight lean would be to Arizona there, even though people are going to be saying there's no way the Dodgers fall to 0-2. I don't think it's completely out of the question. They're not as heavy of a favorite in this game because the pitching matchup is kind of close and kind of slightly favors Gallen, I would say. But both of these pitchers were good this year, Gallen and Miller. Good stats, good whip, good ERA. And if you look at their stats against each other, or against each other's teams, against these opponents, that's kind of a wash as well, where these guys both have OBAs in like the 230s or whatever against the opposing hitters. So I think that's all kind of a wash there. And it really, I think the best way to play this game might actually be to play the under, but it's gone down. I think it was 8.5 at some point, but it's sitting at 8 right now. I don't think I'd have a problem with going under 8. I don't think I'd want to take it at anything lower than that. But even though Miller doesn't have the playoff experience, both pitchers are good and good against the opposing hitters. And because the first game was an 11-2 Diamondback win, I might kind of expect a little bit of a regression to the mean there. People might look at that and not really know who Miller and Gallen really are, although I think Gallen was an all-star, but they don't really know who Miller is necessarily. They might look at that and think this is going to be another game that has some offense. People do like some of the hitters that both of these teams have. I would tend to think that it's going to balance out and be more of a lower-scoring game here in this one. So I think the best play to make there would be the under, but I'm not going to be making any plays in that game. The one I am going to be making, and it feels like a tough play to make, man, but in the other game, Phillies-Braves, I'm going to be on the Philadelphia Phillies plus 135 or plus 136. They're in some underdog range like that, a decent underdog price. So when I do that, I get to throw a little bit less money on the play and then try to win like the 300, which is like the kind of like the bet size that I have on like pretty much every bet. But it's usually to win that amount. So when I'm playing like a money line underdog like that, I get to throw a little bit less money on it. In this case, probably like in the 230s or something to try to get the 300. And if we're looking at Phillies Braves here, there are multiple reasons why I think the Phillies have the edge here, and especially at this underdog price, it's all about value. You're saying I don't think they should be as heavy an underdog as they are here. You're not saying I definitely think that they are going to win this game every single time, but you just think that they're going to win more than like whatever it is, like they have better than like a 47 or 48% chance or whatever the underdog line is actually kind of implying that they have there. So not necessarily to win, but they have a better chance to win than what the odds are giving you. That's where you get the value. And here what we have is the Phillies have Zach Wheeler pitching, and like I've been saying with these other matchups, this is another one where he's a guy who has a start already this season in the postseason, which I think is a little bit bigger, kind of like what I said with Lopez for the Twins yesterday. I believe that was not his second start, but I think this is only his second postseason that he's ever pitched in, even though he's a guy who's in his 30s. But all of that kind of leads to the fact that he got that start out of the way this season. That can kind of get rid of some of those nerves. You get that first playoff game under your belt, and now you're kind of settled in, less nervous and more ready to go, although he did well in that game, so he didn't look really nervous in that game either. But I like that. And then on the other side with the Braves, you have Fried pitching, and he is one of their best pitchers as well, one of their better pitchers. But this is going to be his first start of this postseason, even though he does have some postseason experience, more than Wheeler actually does. But I think that the edge goes to Wheeler there because he has that game under his belt already. Also, the other reason I like this, if you look at their stats against the opposing teams here, Wheeler has held the Braves hitters to somewhere around like a 213 OBA, which is quite low, quite good. And on the other side, Fried has not been good against the Phillies hitters. Lifetime, their batting average against him is like 299. So that's quite a discrepancy there. Fried has struggled against the Phillies, and Wheeler has been good against the Braves. So I think that all kind of gives you more value on the Phillies there as well. The fact that people are going to look at this, think, well, the Braves are the better team. We think they have like the slightly better pitcher, at least here in this matchup as well. They're at home. They're the favorite. They should win this game. There's a reason why the line is kind of like as low as it is, with the Braves being like in the 150s or something, minus 150. It looks like it's going down maybe a little bit. This matchup is definitely closer than it looks. And I think, like I said, these are all kind of edges that go towards the Phillies with the situation and the stats, the historical stats of these pitchers. And in addition to that, speaking about historical stats, if you look at the postseason stats for the two pitchers, Wheeler, even though he has fewer stats, he's only been in a couple of postseasons. His postseason ERA is like in the twos, and he's got like a really good strikeout walk ratio, really low whip, but well below 1. Whereas Fried has actually struggled in his career in the postseason. He's got an ERA north of 4 in the postseason and a whip in like the 1.3s. So he's kind of struggled on that like bigger stage. So again, that looks like there's like a little bit of an edge to be had there with the Phillies. And in addition to all that, like I said with the Diamondbacks-Dodgers series, the recreational bettors are going to look at this and think there's no way the Braves, people are saying they're the best team in Major League Baseball, basically. There's no way that they fall to 0-2 in this series. People are going to be saying that there's no way that can happen. When people are saying that, I think that there is a possibility that can happen. It's much more likely once they've already lost that first game. So now you're just looking at one game instead of needing both of those outcomes to happen. But I think that's just not. There's no logic behind that line of thinking, and you just got to look at what this individual game is. And I think that line of thinking just means the Braves are going to be like slightly more overvalued, which I think they continue to be overvalued because they are the best team. You usually are not going to find value on the team. It's like the best team in Major League Baseball. So those are all my thoughts there. I like the Phillies, plus 136. I'm on it. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully we continue this streak because yesterday was quite good to kind of remove the bad that happened on Saturday. There was much more good yesterday than there was bad on Saturday, so I'm happy about that. Hopefully we get this done as well. It's a short card tonight, so only a few games on the board. Have a good day. Peace.